Welcome. Moi's cars and staff recalled from Kabarak as Uhuru's grace period expires. What you need to know that the security team and support staff had remained at the expansive Kabarak farm in an apparent gesture of goodwill by Mr. Kenyatta. The law entitles retired presidents to at least 30 office and home staff, including 2 personal assistants, 4 secretaries, 4 messengers, 4 drivers, and up to 6 security guards. President William Ruto's administration has withdrawn government vehicles and other public assets and redeployed staff who had been attached to former President Daniel Moi. These came after the expiry of a 2-year grace period granted by Dr. Ruto's predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta. The security team and support staff had remained at the expansive Kabarak farm in an apparent gesture of goodwill by Mr. Kenyatta. Moi died in February 2020. Sources privy to the development said that besides the security team, gardeners, chefs, waiters, waitresses, and cleaners had also been recalled. We learned that the redeployment of the security detail and other staff, as well as withdrawal of official vehicles from Kabarak, began in earnest shortly after President Ruto was sworn into office last month. A section of security team that was recalled from Kabarak has reportedly been deployed to State House. Former president's pension goes up to 74 million next year. Now, sources, however, clarified that a lean contingent of General Service Unit, that is GSU, officers has been retained at Kabarak to protect the late president's homestead. Kabarak is treated like a national monument as it houses the tomb of a former president. That is the tomb of a former president, which is part of our national heritage. They, that is the GSU, are not in Kabarak to protect any living person. That is a former senior aide to Kenya's second president said. Now, calls and text messages to State House Comptroller Kinuthia Mbugo yesterday went unanswered. The Nation had sought to find out from Mr. Mbugo details of the redeployment, such as whether some of the staff had gone back to State House and when the grace period granted by Mr. Kenyatta would lapse. The law entitles that retired presidents to at least 30 officers and home staff, including 2 personal assistants, 4 secretaries, 4 messengers, 4 drivers, and up to 6 security guards. It is not clear how many of these were still retained in Moi's homestead, but their number had significantly reduced after his death. Retired presidents are also entitled to 2 new cars of their choice, which are fully maintained by the state and are replaceable every 3 years. Each car should have an engine capacity not exceeding 3,000 cc. A retired president is also entitled to 4-wheel drive vehicles of their choice, each with an engine capacity of no more than 4,000 cc. Now, while some of the senior government officers surrendered their official vehicles after their contracts ended, one is said to have retained about 5 cars which have been taken away. Some of the vehicles assigned to the senior officer were supposed to be used by President Moi for his domestic work and comfort while he lived. However, when he died, some vehicles remained in the custody of senior officers until the government repossessed them recently. The contracts of the senior civil servants seconded to Moi's Kabarak home ended the moment Dr. Ruto was sworn into office, and that is the source. Mr. Kenyatta had allowed the officers at Kabarak to complete their contract, a former Moi aide said. Notable on the list are Mr. Lee Njiru, whose contract ended last year, General retired Lazarus Sombeyo, Mr. John Lokorio, and Mr. Alexander Kiprotich. The first senior civil servant to complete his contract a year after Mr. Moi died was Mr. Njiru. He retired in September 2021. Mr. Njiru, a long-serving director of the Presidential Press Unit during Mr. Jomo Kenyatta and Mr. Moi's administrations, surrendered his official Subaru Forester upon retirement. He said there was nothing sinister about such redeployment and withdrawal of the official vehicles because the officers and the security personnel served the presidency and not an individual. When their contracts end, according to the government code of regulations, they, the officers, should be redeployed or retired as the case may be and return official vehicles and other items under their custody, Mr. Njiru said. I remember, and I quote, I was supposed to surrender the official car on the Saturday, but I called the mechanical engineer to come and inspect it a week earlier. I didn't want to hold it because I know government regulations, he said. The law also provides that retired presidents should receive a monthly pension equal to 80% of the monthly salary currently paid to the president. A fully furnished office, not more than 1,000 square feet, and an entertainment allowance calculated at the rate of 15% of the monthly salary paid to the serving president. The contracts of the General retired Sombeyo, who was the president's Moi advisor on regional security, and Mr. Lokorio, who was his private secretary, also ended a few months ago. Before President Kenyatta handed over power to his deputy. Mr. Njiru denied claims that former staff at Kabarak were unfairly treated after President Ruto's administration was sworn in. There was no betrayal whatsoever. People must understand that Dr. Ruto is the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, he added. He also concluded by saying that if people come to terms with the fact that they will relax and fit into the rhythm of life, or else they will forever remain with their tormented conscience. When a retired president dies, his office ceases to exist, and all the government staff seconded to them are recalled and the vehicles are redeployed to other government departments. This is your independent journalist. Stay tuned, even as we bring you up to speed with the latest developments in town.